Okay, good evening, everybody. Can everybody hear me? I'm going to call the order the February 21st, 2022 Haywood County Board of Commissioners meeting, regular board meeting. The first order of business will be our Pledge of Allegiance, and then Pastor Josh Frazier couldn't be here tonight because of some pastoral duties. He called me today, and we'll have a moment of silence after the pledge. So if everyone would please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, our next order of business is public hearings, but we do not have any tonight. And then our next order of business is our public comment session. Citizens must sign up for public comment prior, and I think many of you all have, to start. And then your comments are limited to 3 minutes. Tracy will be keeping it. She'll let you know if you would finish up your comments. I won't cut you off hard and fast unless you keep going. But she'll let you know when your time's up, if you would just finish your comments. During your public comment, please do not make any personal attacks on any county employees. And we want to be professional and civil in our comments. So I have several people that have signed up to speak, and I'll just take these in the order that they were presented to me. Okay, our first person signed up to speak is Holly Greenwald. Welcome, Holly.
Right here?
Huh? And you can, if you want to use some of the wipes to wipe stuff off down, you can, anybody that comes up.
Okay.
And make sure you speak into the mic, and you can twist it and put it right at you, so we won't be able to hear you. Thank you.
Okay, ready?
Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead.
This is about dogs being leashed up and tethered. So, Haywood County is a pet-friendly community in most cases. We have a new animal shelter with a new director, but we have a big problem. Most of the pet owners in Haywood County take care of their dogs properly, but we have a large number of dogs left to fend for themselves in awful conditions. Haywood County has a serious issue with dogs that are chained in inhumane ways. Some people are failing to provide adequate shelter so the dogs can be protected. Dogs are left outside in extreme cold or not able to get to shade in the heat of a summer day. They are tethered, tied, and chained to objects. In addition, a dog kept chained alone in one spot for hours, days, months, and we've even had cases of years suffer immense psychological damage. The Humane Society of the United States, as well as other numerous animal experts and the U.S. Department of Agriculture, issued a statement in the July 2nd, 1996 Federal Register against tethering. Our experience in enforcing the Animal Welfare Act has led us to conclude that continuous confinement of dogs by tether is inhumane. A tether significantly restricts a dog's movement, potentially causing injury. The neck of chained dogs becomes raw and covered with sores, which are the result of tight, improperly fitted collars. The dog's constant yanking and straining to escape confinement causes collars to become embedded in the dog's necks. Veterinarians overwhelmingly have concluded the chances are high that dogs that have spent much of their lives chained in a backyard will become overexcited when they are with people. Long periods of social deprivation can make a good-tempered dog quite ill-tempered. As a result, dogs do bite when they become overexposed, as they do not know what to do with all their energies. This may explain why chained dogs who are used to being alone attack when they are finally approached, even by a familiar face or a family member. So what can we do about this problem of dogs living on chains? First, we need a change in the Haywood County Animal Ordinance. This means we will need the support from our county commissioners, Haywood County Animal Shelter, and law enforcement. We can call animal control all day about dogs in distress, but there is nothing they can do until our ordinance is revised. Many have called them about numerous dogs in deplorable conditions, as you can see in the photos, but animal control has their hands tied, again, because of the outdated ordinance. On behalf of our animals, I hope you, the Haywood community, will support endeavor to change the tether laws, like so many other communities have done around the country. Please call your local elected officials and tell them remove the chains. We need to treat our animals humanely. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming out tonight. Okay, our next speaker that signed up to speak is Rafe Davis. Welcome, Rafe.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Rafe Davis, and I am simply a concerned citizen of Haywood County, proud father of 3 children, and I want to talk about vaccines. Are these COVID vaccines safe and effective for our younger citizens ages 5 to 30? Our local health department says they are. However, the CDC's very own VAERS database found at vaers.hhs.gov and at openvaers.com tells us that children are dying from these COVID vaccines. The VAERS database mirrors the COVID vaccine FDA data sheets, which say the COVID vaccines cause blood clots, seizures, and heart attacks. Could that be true? Therefore, I'm reading you a sampling of the hundreds of vaccine deaths alone reported to VAERS database on people ages 5 to 30 that have occurred in the last 12 months. There are thousands of these with more adverse reactions than that anyone can study for themselves. First one, ID number, VAERS ID number 180705. 5-year-old female from the state of Iowa died of a heart attack 4 days after her COVID vaccine, Pfizer COVID vaccine, in November 21. Number 2, VAERS ID number 10785352, a male age 18 from the state of Illinois, died of chest pains and fatigue and headache 3 days after his Moderna COVID-19 vaccine. VAERS ID number 1199455, female age 17 from Wisconsin, died of cardiac arrest, chest pain, death 8 days after her Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine. VAERS ID number 1187918, female age 15 from New Hampshire, cardiac arrest 3 days after her Moderna COVID-19 vaccine. VAERS ID number 1095634, female age 18 from Texas, died of cardiac arrest from the Pfizer BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine. VAERS ID number 1372120, female age 19 from California, cardiac arrest 31 days after the Janssen COVID-19 vaccine. VAERS ID number 1242573, male age 15 from Colorado, heart failure, cardiac failure, death 1 day after the Pfizer BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine. VAERS ID number 1225942, female age 16 from Wisconsin, 9 days. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Appreciate you coming out tonight. Our next person to stand up to speak is Dean Gibson. Okay, welcome, Dean. Appreciate you coming out tonight.
Yeah, I want to take some time out to rebut what Mrs. Holly Greenwald had said earlier, and I'd like to bring to the attention of the relentless harassment that some of us dog owners are getting from this lady, all right? I don't play the race card from an imaginary deck. I play the cards that are dealt to me, live and personally. Holly Greenwald and one of her hit women have openly and blatantly displayed behavior that reasonably intelligent persons could conclude are those of a racist. Just as Peter did with former professional football player Michael Vick, Peter initially tried to destroy Vick, a black man, but not wanting him to earn a living in the NFL after he paid his debt to society for fighting dogs. In the instant case, with me, and at a lower level, Ms. Greenwald has singled me out on an obvious black man by your understanding of what one is, for slander, exploitation, and harassment by posting pictures of my dog on her Facebook page and has made some comments about me that are offensive. She has compared me to Satan. It's on her post. We have the copies. We got all this. Out of all the dogs on her Facebook page and for which she believes constitute animal cruelty, she chose the dog that belongs to the black man and compared him to Satan. Neither Ms. Greenwald nor Peter has found it necessary to attack a white man who allows sandflies and fleas to eat the faces off of beagles after slitting their vocal cords so that no one would hear their suffering and barking. This white man that Ms. Greenwald and her liberal followers appear to have much love and respect for is none other than Dr. Anthony Fauci. It is likely what they're saying. Let's protect our kind and go after the Negroes who keep their dogs on chains and play for the NFL. There's not one thing on her page with her speaking out against the real devil, Mr. Fauci. Wrong is wrong. Speak out against all animal abusers and stop using the liberal strategy of censoring the truth and controlling the narratives and pushing your agenda. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you for coming out tonight, Dean. Our next person signed up to speak is Janet Preston. Welcome, Janet.
Good evening. I'm Janet Preston. I've been an RN for almost 30 years, and I'm here to talk about our health department. I've been here numerous times, both before the pandemic and during, to address my concerns regarding the performance of our health department and the information they're giving us about masks, vaccines, and other related public health topics. You and we, the citizens of Haywood County, are not getting good information. Their mission appears to be to control, oppress, and scare us into wearing masks, getting vaccinated, and staying isolated from each other. And before you say that I'm out of line, think back to everything you've heard from Dr. Jabin and Sarah Henderson over the past couple of years. Have they offered any good information on what we can do to avoid bad outcomes from this virus? Nope, and we all know it. As a taxpayer and citizen of Haywood County, I expect better, and I expect better from all of you. You sit there and listen to those of us who have legitimate concerns about the one-sided, unhelpful information we get from them in our 3-second bites, and then give them unlimited time to fearmonger and never give any true peer-reviewed science. And there's plenty. I'm sure everyone's aware of the mask vote at the school board meeting last Tuesday night. Interestingly, no one from the health department was in attendance, but they certainly had a statement ready to release later that evening. One of the points from that statement was, and I quote, "The Haywood County School Board assumes full and total responsibility for medical decisions and outcomes that result from their decisions, including any liability for school health and safety, as well as employee health and well-being." That's ridiculous. Does that mean that the health department has had full and total responsibility and liability for outcomes up till now? I mean, what does our attorney say about passing around liability like that? I'm just stunned that it's okay. The masks have not kept kids safe from the virus or anything else, but many have gotten sick from wearing the masks. You must recognize the psychological damage that's been done from the mask mandates. I know children who literally had panic attacks on Wednesday morning when they went to school, getting out of the car, and they didn't have masks to put on before they walked in the school building. They were literally in a panic. I spent several hours last week reviewing a bunch of peer-reviewed research on the physical, emotional, and developmental damage mask wearing is doing to children, and believe me, it's significant. I don't get the impression that Dr. Jabin or Sarah Henderson have read this information, or if they have, they don't care. And I don't know if you or many parents have had access to this research. In an effort to better educate all of us involved in taking care of the children of Haywood County, I'd like to challenge Dr. Jabin and Sarah Henderson to a debate with myself and a physician of my choosing. We can spend the first hour on masks and mask mandates, maybe the next hour on the safety and efficacy, or lack of the COVID vaccines, particularly in children, and then maybe a little free time at the end. You all can attend, along with members of the school board, health department, medical professionals from across the county, and parents and members of the public. With your permission, I'd like to get this scheduled within the next few weeks. We all need to know the truth, not my opinion or theirs, but what the science and research actually shows. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Janet, for your comments. Our next person to sign up to speak is Todd Barong. Welcome, Todd. Appreciate you coming out.
I'm here to talk about the pit bull dogs. I've got one. I had two. I had him for 14 and a half years. He protected my grandkids from 2 to 10 years old. He was on a chain every day, but come dark time, my dogs come in the house. But they've got cedar chips. They've got everything a dog could want. I've got animal controls come to my house probably about 5 times because people, oh, that pit bulldog's being mistreated. He's got a 5-gallon bucket of water. He's got a big old bowl of food, and nobody comes in my yard. He's not a vicious dog. He's a protector. He's got a swivel on his hook on his chain. Probably the prettiest dog you'll ever see in your life. And I guarantee you one thing. When you get a vicious dog, that's another story. But when they ain't vicious dogs, and you've got to put that dog somewhere. My pit bulldog on a running line, an inch running line, pulled up the end of the wood out of 4 80-pound bags of concrete held that wood up. He pulled it up and ran out in the road, and my postman got scared. He wanted to play. So everybody said, well, you're going to have to do something more drastic. I put him on a chain. He knows when it jiggles, he don't go nowhere. I mean, this thing about people mistreating dogs, my friend just spoke about his dog. Pits get a bad name. I mean, if it bit my young'un, I'd take it to the woods and put a bullet in him. But he loves my kid. My grandkids are 3, 6, and 9, and 10. They wrestle with my dog. They pull his tail. They pull his ears. He looks at them like, oh, Lord. And he takes it. See, anybody was to walk in the yard, he would do his job. That's just like doing your job for everybody around here. What about Rottweilers? What about German Shepherds? They're the same thing. They got more power too. Just the pits are getting a bad name. This lady comes in here, starts taking pictures after a big rainstorm and stuff. Look at the mud. Come to my house after a rain. My big old German Shepherd, he will make a mess out of the backyard. He can't clean it up because he's the dog. I've got it fenced in. I got a 10-foot fence for him. But, I mean, it'd be horrible conditions. I bring him in the house. I put him in my shower. I wash him. I wash my pits. They eat better than me sometimes. On their birthday, they get a steak. They're my dogs. They're my kids. I have one son with me, but my dogs is my family. And say that, she said, have heat in their dog houses. How many people in Haywood County put heat in their dog houses? They ain't nobody in here can raise their hand. And you know that because, I mean, it's a true story. You put cedar chips in there, give them all the love they got, they'll give you the love straight back. And that chain, he can't twist it enough because I've got a swivel on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. Thanks for coming out tonight. Okay, our next person signed up to speak is Kay Miller. Welcome, Kay.
Thank you, Chairman Inslee and Vice Chairman Rogers and County Commissioners for this opportunity to exercise my God-given right as an individual to speak freely tonight. And first thing I want to say is thank you for letting us decide whether or not we will wear a mask. Really appreciate that. I have a book that I want to, it's not my book, unfortunately, I'd like the money from it. But there's a lot of great information in this book written by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. It's called The Real Anthony Fauci. And it has a lot to do with masks and mandates. But I'll just kind of tag on something that Rafe Davis said. And I started reading this, and before I really got into the second chapter, I was reminded of a quote from 1784 by Edmund Burke that said, "The people never give up their liberties, but under some delusion." And so a few things from the book and about Anthony Fauci and about what we're living under. Instead of citing, and this is really from the books, it's not from me, instead of citing scientific studies or clear data to justify mandates for masks, lockdowns, and vaccines, medical rulers cited Dr. Fauci or the WHO or the CDC or the FDA or the NIH, all captive agencies, by the way, in order to legitimize the medical technocracy's assumption of dangerous new powers. Fauci's plan for the pandemic was, if you go to the hospital, don't give you any treatment. If you're not sick enough, just go on home and we'll wait it out. But if you do get sick enough and you have to go to the hospital, we've got a really expensive antiviral by Gilead called remdesivir. And then if we need to put you on a ventilator, hospital's going to get $30,000 or $35,000 for each one of those. And only, I think, 10% of the people that go on a ventilator come off. And the other thing that I wanted to say, that the Dr. Fauci's aficionados have counseled Americans to trust the experts. And such advice, Kennedy says, is both anti-democratic and anti-science. Science is dynamic. Experts frequently differ on scientific questions, and their opinions can vary in accordance with the demands of politics, power, and financial self-interest. Telling people to trust the experts is either naive or manipulative, or both. And what Rafe was talking about with the VAERS reports, Kennedy says in this book that the reporting on that is 99% inaccurate. So they're underreporting those incidences of people getting vaccines and having injury from it by 99%. So in closing, I would just say again, for time. Okay. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Go ahead.
Well, it's just that fear is a powerful tool, and that fear has been used to kind of keep everybody in check. You know, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this, but there's not science that backs it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kay. Thanks for coming out tonight. Yeah, that's all I have signed up to speak. Would anyone else like to address the board? Okay. I'll close the public comment session and I'll move to constituent concerns. I will just comment on the health department not being at the meeting Tuesday night. That's their regular health board meeting, I believe, Brandon's on the health board too. So that's their regular meeting for that night, and that's why they couldn't be there. I guess the school board had changed their meeting times. I think they meet on Mondays, I think. But anyway, that was why that they weren't there that night. And so, let's see, you want Tommy? You want to start? You have any constituent concerns?
I had a few, but everything got took care of.
Okay.
Same thing. I've had several concerns that's come up over the last couple of weeks, but I got with the county manager and took care of them. So that's all I've got.
Okay. And then
I don't have any.
Okay. And then Jim. Okay. And I will say, our mask policy, is it online for the county buildings and stuff, right?
No, sir, I don't think so, but we can arrange to have that.
Okay, but we have relaxed that some, so just to let people know. And I will say, I think their daily COVID numbers, they were averaging, I think the highest we had about 3 or 4 weeks ago was 177 new cases in a day. They've come down to, they were over 100 there for about a week, and they came down to about 90 for several days. They came down to 60 for several days. They came down to 30 for several days. And I think over the weekend we averaged 20 a day. So hopefully this Omicron variant is about out of here, and hopefully there won't be any more. So I think I want to say maybe half the counties had it anyway. So COVID. I mean, just my observation. These are just my opinions, by the way. So about that. So okay. So we'll move on to. So any other constituent concerns? Okay. Okay, we'll move on to administrative agency reports and presentations, and we do not have any tonight. I do not have any discussion or adjustment to the agenda. Does any of the other commissioners? Okay. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Does anyone have any questions on the 6 items on the consent agenda that we need to clarify? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion we approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Okay. Okay, we'll move on to the regular agenda. The first item on the regular agenda is to request approval to purchase a Bobcat E42 R2 Series excavator from Bobcat of Asheville in the amount of $69,095.71 to be paid by $51,821.79 from the solid waste contingency funds moved to a capital outlay account, and $17,273.92 from facilities fiscal year 2021-2022 budgeted funds. And our Assistant County Manager, Chris Boyd's here to talk about that. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. I think you read it all, specifically as requested. We've come to a point that we need a piece of equipment to continue to manage the projects that we do. With Francis Farm landfill, some of the White Oak landfill issues, other county properties, fairgrounds, other buildings, water lines. For some years past, we've had to contract out these services. Now, finding a contractor to show up when you have a water leak has become very difficult. So we've come to a point that we'd like to request to purchase this piece of equipment. As you shared funds from solid waste and general fund, so it can be used across all areas of Haywood County property.
Okay. Any questions?
No questions, but
Go ahead, you say it.
no questions, but just a comment. Commissioner Long and myself is on the solid waste committee, and we were kind of taken back when we realized that they didn't even have an excavator. Because like he said, you know, we're having to service.
Hang on.
Go ahead.
Hey, if everybody in the back would please move out if you're going to have conversations. Thank you. Thank you, Sheriff. I don't mind for y'all talking, just talk outside. Okay, go ahead, Brandon, sorry.
No, it's okay. Probably hear it a little better. What I was saying is that we're having to go outside for these services, and we can save quite a bit of money if we do have an excavator that we can use here in the house. So, Commissioner Long and myself, I don't mean to speak for you, but
you're fine, you're fine.
we're in favor of it.
I guess you guys are familiar with construction equipment anyway on the farms and stuff that you all do. I know, Brandon, you use it a lot on your some of your projects.
It's something that's definitely needed.
Any other comments or anything? Okay, here now I'll entertain a motion. We approve item 1 of the regular agenda.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. And then next, item 2 is to request approval of a water line easement agreement between Haywood County and the town of Clyde, granting a 15-foot wide easement to the town of Clyde to be located on county-owned property adjacent to Mountain View Street and Joy Street in Clyde for the purpose of installing a new buried water line, and approval for Chris, for county manager, to fully execute said agreement. Go ahead, Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The town of Clyde has requested this easement. The easement will cross properties that Haywood County acquired through the flood mitigation buyout program in 2004. By virtue of that program and mitigating those structures, we created a water supply issue in that small neighborhood just off Broad Street in the town of Clyde. There was a very large line that served all of those structures along the parcels that you mentioned. So now we only have 2 houses at the end of the line. With a very large line, there's a problem with water turnover. They're not using enough to turn the water over in a large line, so it's becoming stale, has a smell to it. The town of Clyde proposes to run a new line to these 2 structures and make it much smaller and usable just for those 2, since we had the conditions on the flood buyout property that no structures be built ever. So the town of Clyde will bear all the costs for construction. They're just asking us for the easement to homeowners.
I think you said that they had stagnated water in that line was why they were, did you mention that?
Stale water, stagnant water.
Yeah, and so that kind of keeps the water moving.
A bad odor to it.
This is the town of Clyde Water Department's solution to the problem. We're just helping them out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Entertain a motion, we approve item 2 of the regular agenda.
So moved.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone opposed? Okay, item 3 is to request approval to accept a bid from Haywood Heating and Air Conditioning Incorporated in the amount of $104,771 to be paid from fiscal year 2021-2022 budgeted funds for the purchase and replacement of Hvac rooftop units 1 and 3 at the Law Enforcement Center And Tim, our Facilities and Maintenance Director, Tim Sisk, is going to update us on that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners.
Hey, Tim.
Hope everybody's well this evening. These two units are the final two in a group of 4 that are serving the cell pods. They are 100% outside.
Yeah.
You can pull it up.
Yeah, pull it. There you go, Tim.
Maybe it was just too short. Everybody hear me okay now?
Yeah.
They're 100% outside area intake, creating a huge problem with humidity control inside the building and with the requirements for the detention center to be controlled inside the cell pods. This is an effort to that Mr. Boyd, during his time of facilities director, had started 3 years ago in a replacement schedule for aging equipment. And these 2 units, again, are the last 2 of 4 on our cell pods. You will see in your packet that there are only 2 estimates from Haywood Heating and Bolton. The third request solicitation was not responded to. This time last year, when we got into this same situation on units 2 and 4, we had another company, Ledbetter Heating, that was unable to quote based on the fact that carrier equipment will not serve this building. It has to be this AON equipment. So this will be the final 2 for the cell pods.
You said carrier equipment wouldn't carry it, and it has to be what?
AON, AAON, AON. It is very specific to this particular facility.
Okay.
Any questions?
So these units are located on the roof of the current law enforcement center, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, on the cell pods.
And none of us know, but any reason to believe that would be impacted by expansion later?
No, ma'am. This is on the existing cell pods. Everything with the expansion would be new equipment.
Okay.
How old are those units, you might have said?
From the onset of the building, so.
Oh, 2004.
2004, so yeah, they run 24.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
That's true.
That's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, to last that long.
Yeah, the life statement was that we were at end of life this time last year on these 2 pieces of equipment.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion. We approve item 3 of the regular agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those indicate by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, number 4 of the regular agenda is to request approval of a budget amendment broadband for $256,742 to appropriate fund balance for the required county match for growing rural economies with access to technology, which is called the GREAT Grant program, to Skyrunner for the purpose of expanding broadband services to 307 homes in the county. These funds were previously accepted by the Board of Commissioners on June 21, 2021 as part of the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, distributed by the United States Treasury Department for broadband. And we have, is David here? Are you doing that one, Brian?
I'll take it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
David had a family emergency, is out of town. Basically, back in June, we took part of our recovery funds and put them as the county's match for the GREAT Grant program. We put the money in place, but we haven't spent it yet, and that's the critical part of this. Through the General Assembly's actions recently, they put in language, and I'll read it, with the exception of funds expected to be expended in this GREAT Grant application round or under the Completing Access to Broadband program, that's the CAB program, as authorized by NCGS Section 143B 1373.1, a county that has utilized federal funding for broadband infrastructure on or after May 1st, 2021 shall be ineligible. So we put the money in place, but we haven't spent it. And so what we'd like to do is take the recovery funds, put it back in the recovery pot, and put our fund balance into that, because we want to go after more of the GREAT Grant and CAB broadband grants. There's much more money at stake right now, so we think it's worthwhile for us to basically take it out of one pot, put it in the other, so we can apply for up to $4 million through the next 2 grant cycles.
Does anybody have any questions on that?
Dollar for dollar match, I can't remember, Bryant. Do you remember?
It is not. It's about 25% county, 25% from the vendor, and then 50 from the state. So it's really, 25 cents on the dollar county funds.
Right.
What do you think's available?
I'm sorry?
How much more do you think's available? Is it a sizable increase of what could be available?
So the original grant we got was in the 1.2 million range. We can apply for up to 4 in this round, so it's significantly more.
Sure.
We could hit a lot more houses. Now, that's not to say that we get it, but if we were to leave the recovery funds in the current project and spend it, we wouldn't even be eligible to apply. So we think it's worth the risk because we have a really strong proposal for grant applications.
Is there a possibility we would not get any grant money this time?
Yes.
I was just looking at some numbers. We talked about broadband in our workshop. That's 25% of what it takes to facilitate 307 homes. It's roughly $6,500 per home. 307 homes, roughly $6,500.
Yeah.
Not cheap.
I think it's a math problem. That's the reason that we haven't seen big folks like Spectrum and others do it for a market reason. There's not enough customers per mile to make it worthwhile, and so we're having to find opportunities like this. You're exactly right.
Looking at the map, it looks like the map that was included in our package. So it looks like it's the Cove Creek area.
For the 256, correct.
Right. And then it looks like, is it Highway 9 out to Fines Creek Road?
That's the plan, yes.
Okay. And then, I just want to let everybody know.
Yeah.
And then there's a little bit on Jonathan Creek, a little bit on the upper end of Jonathan Creek, and then it looks like Bethel's got some houses that can be hit with this around south of the retreat area, up Highway 215, and I think he was here and talked about that. Mm-hmm. I guess this will go up as the Episcopal camp probably, and hit everybody on the way, kind of.
I'm not sure he can get up that far on this round, but that is the route that we're going.
I think I heard from some residents up there, they'd talked to some engineers. I may be talking out of school. They estimated the money probably run out right there about Lake Logan, the dam right in there, right before you start up the hill.
Okay.
Fire department.
Yeah, the fire right there.
Oh, Lake Logan Fire Department.
Yeah.
But that's a moving target. It
could be added on.
It could go further. It just depends on how far the money goes.
Right. Okay.
On the linear feet.
That's one of the most recent conversations I've had with Mr. Boyd, J.J. Boyd, was talking about supply lines costs. Not a lot, but cost increases where maybe the money doesn't go as far.
And then is this a landline or is this wireless or both?
Way out of my technical expertise, but I think it's going to be a combination that there will be antennas on the homes, but from some sort of antenna that is on a utility pole.
Well, I have Skyrunner, and it does a great job for me. I'm not really advertising for them, but I'm glad to see this because I think this is a solution for high-speed internet.
Yeah, and if you notice on the map, that's heading towards Shelton Laurel up there.
Yeah.
That's a very remote location, so I'm sure that'll help those folks. Cove Creek, yeah.
Okay, any other?
It's kind of off topic, but I'll make a motion to do that, moving the money around.
Is there a second? You're making a motion on
Item 4.
Okay.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, that's unanimous. Okay, we'll move on to item number 5 is to request approval of a cancellation of amendment to promissory note and deed of trust between Mountain Projects and Haywood County recorded on February 4th, 2022 in D-Book 1054, 1548, Haywood County Registry, secured by real property located at 1277 Asheville Road. And Bryant, you want to talk about that? And I will say Patsy Davis is here from Mountain Projects.
Number 5, Mr. Chairman, is something that we incorrectly recorded. We prepared the documents and collected the signatures, but we needed to bring it back before the board to actually vote on. So we accidentally recorded it, and now we'd like to rescind that. And number 5 and number 6 is actually for your consideration, those documents that we shouldn't have recorded but did.
Okay. Any questions on that? I have a motion that we approve item 5 of the regular agenda.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, we'll move to item 6 of the regular agenda, which is just to request approval of amendment to promissory note and deed of trust between Mountain Projects and Haywood County in the amount of $305,040.74 secured by real property located at 1277 Asheville Road, Waynesville. Go ahead, Brian.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This was really an attempt to help Mountain Projects with cash flow. I think when the original agreement was structured, there was a balloon payment that Mountain Project would owe at the end of next year, I believe. And so we actually had some back and forth almost a year ago about an unrelated facility and how we could help promote that as a community group. Well, one of the options was that we would refinance the debt with Mountain Projects for an extended period of time and drop that interest rate to help get that balloon payment off the table for them. Patsy probably has a lot more about that and how this will help Mountain Projects. Let her talk to you.
So, but basically what we're doing is just take it, they have a balloon, so we're eliminating balloon and allowing payments over a longer period of time. But if they do sell the property, then the loan's on the property and the loan gets paid off. So just helping Mountain Projects. So
it's not forgiving any debt or anything like that. It's just making it a little easier terms.
Okay.
It's definitely giving Mountain Projects a lot of relief not to have that balloon payment. So as I've said many times before, Mountain Projects, since I've been involved, I didn't realize that they did what they did, and it's great to see. And we've also got Mr. Bucky Dykes here with us tonight, who does a lot of great work there as well. Just wanted to recognize him as well. He gets paid quite a bit, don't he, Patsy? But we appreciate them being here tonight, and I'd just like to say it just gives them the relief that they need.
I'll move to approve. There's any other comments?
I'll second.
Is there any other comments? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Okay, anyone opposed? It's unanimous. Okay, we'll move on. Our next order of business is appointments, and we have our county manager, Bryant Moorhead. We've got a request approval of, I'll go ahead. Go ahead, Brian. I'll let you do this.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a reappointment of Ted Carr, Evelyn Cooper, Jimmy Flynn, Margaret Ruff, and Jonathan Sears to the Board of Equalization and Review, and reappoint of Leon Chip Killian III to serve as alternate. I think all folks served on the last board of ENR and have recommended to have offered to serve again.
Okay, so they've all applied? Okay, good.
I believe they've all applied, and I don't believe we had any other applicants, correct?
That's not a fun board to be on, right?
So that must be a real fun board to serve on.
They even get paid.
Thankful for the ones we have.
That's right.
Okay.
I make a
Actually get
motion.
paid to serve on that board, too.
Yeah.
I make a motion for reappointment.
I'll second.
Okay. Discussion. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Okay, then we also need to appoint a chair and vice chair. I believe Jimmy Flynn was the chair last year and Evelyn Cooper was the vice chair. Is that correct? Is that okay, or do we need to make, I guess we need to do that also. Okay. Okay.
Have they expressed any, Bryant, do you know, or Kevin, have they expressed any interest in one or the other?
I know Judy Hickman's here. Judy, do you want to make a comment on, do you have a preference on?
Both of them do a great job.
Okay.
Okay. I move to appoint Jimmy chair and Evelyn vice chair then.
Okay.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor can indicate by saying aye. Aye. Okay, that's unanimous. Okay. Okay, our next order of business, we have a closed session for economic development. Is that correct? 143-318.11A4. Entertain a motion, we go into closed session.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. Okay, we'll be in closed session when we enter the chambers in the back. Okay, we've returned from closed session. Does anybody have any business before the board? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion, we adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you.